Let me say that again. Even if it's not real, just the fact that the woman feels it, oh, now you're a misogynist. But this is beautiful. Bear with me, brothers. You'll see why I say this is beautiful in a minute. So continuing on, it says, Baroness Williams also said that I will advise the House that on an experimental basis we will ask police forces to record and identify any crimes of violence against the person, including stalking and harassment and sexual offences where the victim perceives it to have been motivated by a hostility based on their sex, which, as I have said, can then inform longer term decisions. Where's the rest of the article? Well, the rest of the article seems to have disappeared. There's nothing more after that. But there's a reason why I say this is a beautiful thing. And the reason why I say this is a beautiful thing is because what all of this is all a smokescreen. Esau is trying to push his agenda of depopulation, right? That's why he's promoted causes such as LGBTQ so heavily. That's why he's pushed the transgender thing so heavily. And also why he pushed feminism so heavily. Because Esau was all about destroying the household. Because when you destroy the household, when you've got the man at war with the woman, the husband at war with his wife, and then when you've got them slaving away for you all day, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then if they can do overtime, they'll be doing that on the weekend. Esau got the man out of the house. Yeah. First of all, Esau got people out to work, so they're working for him, building up his empire. Then, who's looking after the children? Because most people, they put their elderly in, well, most Edomites, I don't know many Jakes that do this, but most Edomites ship their elderly people off into care homes. Now, in the past, if the mother and the father were out at work, it would be the grandparents taking care of the young children in the day. But Esau got the grandparents out of the house, put them in care homes. Then he got the mum and dad out of the house, having them work for him all day. Then he put enmity between the man and the woman with this feminist shit. So then the man's kicked out the house, so the woman's being single and independent, and she's out working all day when our ass is supposed to be taking care of the home. So the woman's out working for Esau. The man's out of the scene. Who's looking after the kids? Well, Esau forces the kids into the public education system, or what I'd rather call the public fool system. So therefore, Esau is training your children how to think and how to behave from the earliest age. And he's teaching these children to be complicit with his New World Order agenda. That's why they're pushing the LGBTQ thing on such small children. That's why they're pushing the transgender thing on such small children, when children aren't even supposed to be sexually active in them early stages of their life. I remember when I was small, I wasn't thinking about, girls and stuff like that until I was like a little bit older. I'm talking about when I'm 3, 4, 5. Actually, yeah, it wasn't even something that came into my head. The sexual conduct of adults wasn't something that was in my head. I was more interested in fun things like Masters of the Universe and Transformers. That was my generation. But Esau has trying to sexualize the children from a very, very young age. I mean, they've done that documentary that got a lot of heat on Netflix. Was it earlier last year or something? There was one weird ass documentary called Cuties where they were having these really, really young girls twerking and shit. I mean, who wants to watch that? Anyway, you'll be bugged out of your head to want to watch that shit. But that got a lot of heat. Now, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because where am I going with this? I was talking about Sadiq Khan, yeah. So I lost my chain of thought. So yeah, the reason why I say this is a beautiful thing, that these women are now getting a battery in their back, they're having smoke blown up their asses, so they think that they're strong and single and empowered, and we can do anything a man can do, and we can do it better. It's beautiful. You know why I say it's beautiful? Because this is all going to lead into Isaiah 4:1, and it's going to lead to Micah chapter 7 and verse 10. Because these people, these women are so puffed up. They think they've got so many rights and they've got so many privileges. They think Esau's for them. And they believe in Esau. They believe that Esau is essentially their God. And they don't ever see the system going down. However, because they're in league with the beast, because they're being wicked women by being by not keeping at home, by not being obedient to their fathers, by not being the wife of one husband, You know, they're lawless. They're doing all this mad shit, and they're getting away with it because these women are getting away with it. You know, now you can't say anything bad or disparaging about a woman because now all of a sudden it's a hate crime, and now you're a misogynist. Well, if it was an equal society, why would they not class the antonym of misogyny as a hate crime? Do people even know what the antonym of misogyny is? I can't even remember what it is. Now, the antonym means an equally opposing word, to break it down roughly, like, you know, good, bad, hot, cold. If there's misogyny, which is supposedly hatred towards women, well then why isn't it a hate crime to hate men? See, this is the hypocrisy of Esau, and this is why these women are going to be destroyed, and why it's such a beautiful thing, because these women have a lot of hatred towards men. Let me give a testimony briefly. I was at camp last Sunday teaching with the brothers, and a prime example of everything that's wrong with the society came up. There was a man talking and asking questions. And in fact, he wasn't really asking questions, he was more talking than he was listening. But we was teaching him and trying to edify him anyway. And a woman came up, and she was with a bugged out man. And this guy looked like a weak fucking... Oh, the guy had no spine, man. Even a jellyfish had more spine than this guy. I mean, the way he was walking, he looked like all... And it was a Jake, and he looked bugged out. He had a stupid hat on his head. Like, he didn't know where he was going. He didn't know... The guy was lost in Babylon, yeah? And he was like, you know, curved back, just like walking, meandering along down the street. And his woman was a fucking serpent, man. A scorpion, I'd say. And you can see his woman ruled him, because she was into this, I'm a queen spirit. You can't tell me nothing spirit. You're just a dirty man. You're just a dirty ass man. You can't tell me nothing. I'm a queen. I'm a queen. That's the way this woman was talking. Now, she was having an argument with the man that was asked at the camp asking questions. And she's like, you can't say nothing to me. You're just a dirty man. You're just a dirty ass little man. And I was looking at this woman thinking, who the fuck do you think you are? And she said, I'm a queen. I'm a queen. And she had a drink in her hand, and she started flicking the drink at the man. I don't know if it was a McDonald's milkshake or something, but she was flicking it at the man, and it was going everywhere. And the man who was supposed to be her man, what's he doing about it? Is he keeping his woman in check? No. He's fucking standing there in the background with his hands in his pocket, man, didn't utter a fucking word. And I'm looking at this situation thinking, boy, scriptures are coming to life today, because the scriptures do say that a wicked woman is a portion given unto a wicked man. I'll get it in a minute. But the fact of the matter is that you can see his woman ruled over him. And that's the funny thing with these women in this world today. A lot of these women want to have power over men. They don't like a strong man. A strong man threatens them, you know. So if you're a man who knows who you are and you know what you want and you're not prepared to compromise your ideals, chances are, especially if you're a man in this truth, the chances are you're going to be single and you're going to be alone, because women in this world, they want to have the power. And what I've noticed is that you always see, when I see women walking down the road with a man these days, I almost see it as like it's a woman walking her dog. You know, she's in control. She's dictating everything that happens in the relationship. You know why? Because these motherfuckers are weak. Sorry for putting it like that, but this is just my spirit. This is how I talk. These guys are weak. As I said, they're more spineless than a jellyfish. And they're getting pussy. And when a man gets pussy, oftentimes a man can get addicted. I've seen many guys I know in the world who were scheming on another man's woman for the longest time, and then when they get it, they've committed adultery, obviously. They get it. And you know what? Whenever they see you and they're around you, they talk like, yeah, but, you know, she ain't really nothing to me, man. I just hit it every now and then, you know. We're not really in a relationship. I don't really care about her. The man will say that to your face, but when he goes home, oh, you okay, baby? Oh, I love you so much, baby. When he's fucking spooning in his bed with her at night, he's like, I love you so much, baby. I couldn't live without you. But when he's with you, because he knows your spirit, and he knows that you're not a weak man when it comes to women, speaking of myself, he'll be trying to front like he's like you, in a sense that, when I say like me, I'm not a guy who's ever committed adultery, and Lord willing, I won't ever do it, you know. But when I say like you, meaning strong-minded, because this is what I'm saying. Weak-minded men end up getting into these shitty situations with women. But because the pussy feels good to the flesh, The sex feels good to the flesh. These guys end up becoming addicted, and they'll do anything they can, even be willing to lay their life on the line for the sake of a woman. And that's very sad. Very, very sad. And going back to the testimony of this camp and this woman being a demon, I looked at that situation, I thought, you know, this is everything that's wrong with this society. This woman is allowed and enabled to behave like a complete piece of shit, and nobody can check her. Because anybody want to check her now, she's like, oh, I'm a queen, you're just a dirty ass man. You come from women, you're a man, you can't say shit to me. These women are bugged out. They think that they are the origin of the species, when they're not. They're not. The woman came from man, man didn't come from woman. A woman can't bring forth life without the life spirit of a man, which is the man's seed. So this society has got everything twisted, where it's become a sort of very effeminized worldview. I mean, people talk about Mother Nature and shit. Most people in the world will believe in Mother Nature, but they won't believe in the Most High. When you try and talk to a woman about the Most High, 9 times out of 10, she don't want to hear it. She'd rather run to, what do they call it? Buddhism or Hinduism or Sikhism. They'll run from anything. That's why a lot of these women go to these flipping, get into all this yoga and going to these Buddhist temples and shit, thinking that they're getting some sort of spiritual enlightenment. But really, they're running away from their maker because they don't want to deal with the fact that their maker is Yahweh. And Yahweh is in the image of a man. So they don't want that image. They want to believe in anything but that, because these women are fucking hateful creatures, man. That's the whole reason why the serpent was able to beguile Eve in the garden in the flipping first place. Let me get into it. Genesis, the 3rd chapter and the 6th verse. Yeah, here we go. Let me start from 1. Good stuff. Genesis chapter 3 and 1. And it says, now the serpent... Now, most people get it twisted. They think that it was an actual snake talking in the garden. But no. The serpent was one of the wicked. Because there's 3 classifications of men. The sons of God, which are the Israelites. The sons of men, which are the other nations. And the sons of wicked, which are the Edomites. Yeah. So it was a wicked person with a serpent-like intelligence. Let's use it that way. Serpentine intelligence. How do we prove that? Let me just see if I can find a way to prove that in Revelation. Bear with me while I get this precept. That old serpent. Yeah, Revelation chapter 12 and verse 9 is a precept which links with that. Yeah, let me Revelation, so Genesis 3 and verse 1. Now that serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh the Most High had made. Now Revelation 12 and verse 9 says that, and that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, and was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So that old serpent is talking about, you know, in the garden, one of the wicked, which later became an Edomite, was in the garden beguiling Eve. So the serpent was far more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh the Most High had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, have the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden. But the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, For the Most High doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods. Now you've got to look. This is in Genesis 3 and 5. It says gods with a little g. Now when it says gods as a little g, that's referring to the Israelites, because we're the gods with the little g. Let me get that. Yeah, this is John chapter 10 and verse 34. And Yahushua answered them and said, is it not written in your law, I said ye are gods with a little g? So when we extrapolate these precepts and go back to Genesis chapter 3 and verse 5, for it says, for the Most High doth know that in that day ye eat thereof, then shall your eyes be opened, and ye shall be as gods. So the Israelite woman wasn't comfortable, wasn't happy with her position, and she wanted to be like Adam. She wanted to be in charge. She wanted to be the big boss. That's why it says, ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree, now this tree is talking about the knowledge of wickedness, not an actual tree where they go and they stand there butt naked and they're picking some apple and they're eating it. No, it's talking about the fruit of the knowledge of good and wisdom, because the knowledge of the scriptures is likened to many things. Wisdom is likened unto a woman. The scriptures are likened unto food. You know, we're supposed to feed the sheep. The scriptures are likened unto water, because I remember in Yahushua was saying to the woman, the Samaritan woman at the well, whosoever drinketh of this water will thirst again, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I give them, out of their belly shall flow rivers of living water, roughly paraphrasing. So that's why, you know, a lot of people misconstrue that it's just some flipping Adam and Eve picking a fruit off the tree, an apple, and eating it. That's not what the scriptures are saying. So continuing on, it says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. You see, because the woman doesn't have wisdom. Let me get that precept. Bear with me. All right, let me find this one. Bear with me a minute, let me find this one. Yeah, Job 39. There we go. Let me get it. Job, where is it at? Yeah, here we go. This is Job 39 verse 13. Slaki for the delay. It says, "Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or the wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warm them in the dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that a wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labour is in vain without fear, because the Most High hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding." Let me read that again, because that's what women in this society are like today. They're like an ostrich. It says, "Gavest thou goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in the dust, and she forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that a wild beast may break them," meaning that she's got no care for her young ones. "She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labour is in vain without fear." That's exactly what the women in this society are like. They're going out to work and thinking about their careers, while they've got the school system raising their children, or these random ass nannies raising their children. When, I heard a story from my mum last week. She was saying to me that there was a living nanny who was living with a family, and this family had no idea that this nanny was actually giving the baby her own urine to drink. Can you believe that? You're going in someone's house to supposed to be looking after their children, their little baby, and what are you giving the baby to drink? Bottles filled with your own urine? Why the fuck would you do that? Why would you go into someone's house just to abuse their child like that? But this is the world we're in. This is the fucked up shit that people do in this wicked ass world, which these women are in love in, because to them, they're acting like their name's Mick Hucknall from Simply Red. They're acting like they're at a fucking fairground in this life. They're running around, doing everything they want under the sun, and thinking that there ain't a price to pay. Now, I'm going to use a little example of what this is like. If you've ever seen the film Pinocchio, Apostle Gabar always talks about this film, but it's funny. Years ago when I was a little boy and I watched this film when I was like 4 or 5 for the first time, I looked at that film and I saw that scene and I knew what it was about. I knew that this life was that pleasure island scene where all the boys are going there and they're doing whatever the hell they want. They're smoking, they're drinking, they're shooting pool at Pleasure Island, and then they get turned into jackasses and then get thrown to work in the salt mines. I saw that as a metaphor for this life. That's why I was like, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to drink, I don't want to do that stuff, because I don't want to end up becoming an ass and thrown to work in some shitty ass salt mine, which is what that whole film, that whole scene from that film was showing. And it's funny because later on in life, people ask me, "So why don't you smoke, man?" And I say to them, "Because I watched Pinocchio." And like, what the fuck's that mean? Those who have eyes to see will see. It's when you're mixing with these people in the world, they look at you sideways if you don't smoke, if you don't drink like them. And those weren't things that I ever got into, so people always looked at me as if, who the hell does he think he is? He thinks he's better than us. Who's that? Who does he think he is? But that's another testimony for another time. The point of what I'm saying is that these women are basically behaving like the children on Pleasure Island in Pinocchio, not realizing that Esau's ultimately the architecture of their own demise, because all these things is giving them, all these benefits, all these so-called liberties, more and more wrapping that noose more and more around these women's neck, and they're not going to have nobody to help them, because the times are coming. This society is already falling apart, and the times are coming when it's going to be proven that a woman is really a second-class citizen and that she is nothing by herself. These women don't have any real value, man. It's the man who has the value. The only way a woman is valuable is if she's loyal to her husband, the wife of one husband. You know what I'm saying? So there's that woman at camp talking shit, and she's acting with complete impunity, if that's the word to use, as if she's above the law. Well, she ain't above the law, because the law of the Bible breaks it down. Where to start? I mean, there's so many scriptures. It's like being in a flipping, having spoilt for choice. Where do I want to start to break this down? Let me see. I want to talk about the filth of a woman, because That woman was saying, you're just a dirty ass man. You're just a dirty ass man. Look at you. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm a queen. I'm a queen. Yeah, she is a queen. She's a fucking whore. But women are more dirty than men intrinsically. Let me get it. Leviticus 15, maybe? Let's see if that's the one. Talking about the cleanness and uncleanness of women. Because women seem to think that they're above everybody and their shit don't stink. Well, a woman's shit smells worse than a man. Let me put it like that. Oh no, I've just committed a hate crime. Call Sadiq Khan. Get the police to kick in my front door. I'm a misogynist. You know what? I am a misogynist. I don't really like women. I don't like women in the society because they're out of order. These women are supposed to be... The word woman actually means female servant, if you look at the etymology of it. And these women don't want to behave like women. So guess what? I'm not even going to look at them as women. Because they're not behaving like women. They're not doing what a woman should do. They're behaving lawless, and they're basically like just vessels for demons right now. To do all kind of wickedness. What's the like about that? If I had a male friend, and I had a male friend and he was acting like an ass, you know what? I tell him, hey, you know what, bro? You're acting like a fucking ass. I've done that in the past. That's why I don't have friends outside this truth anymore. All the guys I knew in the world, I told them to fucking get down the road because I wasn't down with them fucking scheming on other men's women for months, then committing adultery with them and acting like, then coming to talk to me shit about the guy who she was with before, saying, oh, I can't stand him, blah, 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 blah. When he's the one in the fucking wrong. You've just stolen another man's woman and you're trying to talk as if you're on some fucking holy ground. Fuck you, man. Get the hell out of here. I've got testimonies to share on this stuff, and Lord willing, I will share them in due time, but not to get off topic of what I'm talking about now. I'm in Leviticus, I was looking at the 15th chapter. No, it's the... Yeah, no, I was right. Leviticus 15, this is the right chapter. So I'm going to read it. Leviticus 15. Now, to break this down, not many people in this world understand spiritual things. And this is another area where I say, Thawadi Haba Hashem Hashai, because you made me aware of this from a very early age. Me, I've always been someone who's been able to discern things spiritually, whether it's clean or not. Like, I just feel in my spirit, you know what, that feels filthy, that looks nasty. And when I got older and I started reading the scriptures, now I read about the law of uncleanness, you know, and what things defile a man, I thought, hey, you know what, man? I felt that in my spirit. I felt that, okay, when I've done certain things, now I'm unclean, I need to go take a bath. Just in the spirit, I kind of instinctively knew these things. And it's interesting because there's an account from one slave, I think his name was Alida Aquano, something like that, where he was talking about when the Edomites were gathering the people, the Israelites, into slave ships. And one of the things he was talking about is how filthy these people were, and just a feeling of uncleanness about everything. It's like it's been a long time since I read that part of what I was reading, so I can't quote it in any more depth like that because it escapes my memory. But I do remember him talking about how they could smell the slave ships, and they were like, they just knew it was unclean, and the Edomites looked unclean. And when you look at Edomites, man, I can look at them through the spirit. I mean, even when I used to be in the world as a child, I used to look at these people sideways like, man, these white people are kind of dirty, man. They're not like us. Give you an example. When I used to go to school, this was in the days before school uniform was made mandatory at primary school. So in the early years of primary school, you know, we just used to wear your regular clothes. But my mum always made a clear distinction. She had our clothes that we'd wear to school. We'd wear them at school. And as soon as we come home, my mum would be like, okay, change your clothes, put your home clothes on. The clothes you wear outside aren't the clothes you wear at home. Because, you know, when you're outside, you're sitting on things and stuff. When you come home, all that dirt you're bringing into your home, like as soon as we come in, take your shoes off. Things like that. But yet the Edomite kids who I knew, when they'd get home from school, they'd wear the same clothes that they wore at school and they'd jump on their bed. Sometimes they'd even be wearing their trainers that they wore outside in the street. They'd come in and sit in their room and with their feet on the bed in their trainers. Me, even to this day, that stuck with me, man. The clothes I wear outside in the street, like my jeans and stuff, as soon as I get home, I take that shit off and I put them in a place separate from, like, I don't put them back in my wardrobe with my other clean clothes because it would be unclean, because those things feel unclean to me. So whenever I go out, I put on my street clothes. You know what I'm saying? Even if I've just washed it the first time. And this is another thing, man. Through the Spirit, I've just felt stuff like, I love this social distancing. You know why? Because there's nothing that pissed me off more than when I'd have a bath and I go out. Like another thing, my dad always like, you know, you got to bathe and you've got to wash yourself. You can't be sitting around for days and you're just with your grimy ass not washed. You know what I mean? You bathe yourself, man. So like, let's say for example, and I always feel like, you know, when you're clean, you feel good, man. So let's say for example, I have a bath early in the day and I have to go out in the afternoon. I always get pissed off when I'd be out there and some guy or some woman would come and stand next to me at a bus stop and I can feel their aura is just dirty. You can just feel they're unclean. And especially if they're smoking a cigarette, like I can just feel in the spirit, no, I don't want to be near that. You know, but different brothers have different measures and not every brother's going to have the same spirit. And I accept that, but I'm just talking about my own personal experiences. So back in Leviticus, I'm talking about the cleanness and uncleanness. Now, most people in the world don't understand if something's spiritually unclean. For example, eating pork. Swine is an unclean animal. You're not even supposed to touch its carcass when it dies. If you touch pork, if you touch a piece of pork, just touch it, you're unclean now. You have to wash yourself, man. Most people don't know that though. But yet they'll touch it and they'll put it in their mouth. And they'll eat it and they'll be like, oh well, what is it? Peter said, they misconstrued the scripture where Peter said, talking about unclean meat and clean meat. That wasn't talking about meat. So it was talking about Israelite foreigners, but that's a deeper breakdown which those people don't understand. You're not supposed to eat pork. That's the law. And not one jot or one tittle is going to pass from the law, you know? Anyway, these people just want to do what feels good to their flesh. It tastes good, I want to do it. So they do it. Well, anyway. Yeah, so people in this world don't understand things that can make you clean and things that can make you unclean. So let's get into it. Leviticus the 15th chapter. And Yahweh spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When a man have a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. Give another brief testimony too. When I used to be a little boy, you know when you're a child, you run around at school. Sometimes you might drop and you graze your elbow or you graze your knee and you shed a little bit of blood. I always used to feel unclean after that. Or if I was around someone that was bleeding, I'd be like, there's an aura there. That's unclean, man. And you just don't want to get near it if another person's bleeding like that. So let's get into it. And this is what the scripture just said. It said, Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, When any man have a running issue out of his flesh, so if you shed your blood, because of his issue, he is unclean. That's why, for example, I don't like going into hospitals and shit like that.